What is up, everyone? Welcome to When It's Game Day podcast. I'm your host, Spencer. So this is the first episode, so we're just going to start off with a little intro. This podcast is mainly going to be sports. I watch a lot of professional sports, NBA, NFL, a lot of NFL actually. So once football comes around, that'll be a great time of the year. Love that time of the year. So that'll be a lot to talk about. But right now, NBA playoffs. I love the NBA playoffs. Talk a lot about that. College sports. I watch a lot of college football. I don't watch a lot of college basketball until March Madness. So I mean that'll be something we could talk about at that once that time comes. But yeah, mainly just professional and college football. But right now, time of the year, it's NBA playoff time, so we have to talk about it. Starting off, the NBA this season, the teams that are in there, it's crazy. It's been nuts so far. For those of you that don't watch, there's a lot of young talent in the league right now. Mainly in the Western Conference, really, you got OKC with with Chet Holmgren, SGA, all those guys. They have the youngest team in the league. I think they're like 20. Their average age in the team is 22 or 23 years old, which is insane with how successful they're being. Especially in the playoffs. I mean, everyone went into the playoffs thinking that they were going to win maybe the first round, and then their experience was going to come in and they were going to get eliminated. But so far, they're playing really good, and they're actually up 1-0 on the Mavericks in this series for second round. But first, I want to start with the Eastern Conference. I'm a Cavs fan. As the seasons go on, you'll figure out what teams I like. Even just by watching this show, you'll figure out what teams I like. I'm a Cavs fan. I'll explain why. Started watching sports really when it was 2014, 2015. So obviously that was when LeBron went back to Cleveland. So they were always on TV. So that's why I'm a Cavs fan. People say, "Oh, you're a Cavs fan because you like LeBron." Whoa. Yes, I like LeBron, but I didn't switch to the Lakers when he went to LA. So it's like, yeah, I can be a Cavs fan and I can be a LeBron fan. So that's how I became a Cavs fan. But let's just start with their first round matchups in the Eastern Conference. So Cavs first round. Honestly, I went into that series thinking that they were going to be the way better team, and everyone was thinking that series was going to be boring and how it wasn't going to last as long as it actually did. It went to 7 games, but you look at the Orlando Magic all season long, they didn't play well at all. They couldn't shoot the ball. You knew they had a good player in Paolo Banchero, but he didn't really turn. He didn't turn my head that much. He didn't really look like a superstar. And then once he hit the playoffs, he looked like a completely different player to me. I mean, he looked calm, collected. He was hitting fadeaway shots, heavily contested. That series was nuts. I was not expecting it to go to 7 games. Every home team won that game. And I mean, when you have the home court advantage, it's good to win at home. So the Cavs ended up winning that series in 7 games. Mainly because of Donovan Mitchell. He's been the whole team this playoff so far. It's kind of sad. Got to get that man some help, but it's sad because the Cavs played well all year long. They had a really good season. They were second best record in the East. They were second seed behind Boston, and then all of a sudden, the last month, they just sucked and they lost a lot of games. They dropped down to the 4 seed. I have these stats pulled up here. In the regular season, the Cavs averaged 112 points a game in the regular season, and then now this playoffs they average 95. It's like where's the offense? We don't score over 100 at all, and it kills us. Especially when you play good teams. Like right now, they're playing Boston. You can't score 95 points and expect to win that game just because the Boston Celtics are stacked. They have 3-headed monster now with Derek White, who doesn't miss. For some reason, he just doesn't miss. I mean, ever since getting that haircut, I feel like has not missed this season. He's played very well this season. And obviously, you got Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and actually in that first round series with the Heat, the Jason Tatum, who was supposed to be their best player, was actually the third leading scorer. So it's like when you have the production that they have consistently for their starters and the rotation players, it's really hard to beat a team when you score 95 points like that. So, but back to the Cavs here. Even like the shooting percentages, obviously they're not scoring a lot of points. They're shooting the ball horribly. 28% from the 3-point in the playoffs so far, and in the whole regular season they averaged or they shot 38% from deep. So it's like you got to find a consistent here. The consistency to play in the playoffs. I feel like they just come to the playoffs, did the same thing last year. They played the Knicks in the first round last year, and they got. I don't even remember. I think they lost in 5 or 6 games, but it wasn't even like fun to watch. They did the same thing as this year. Besides Donovan Mitchell didn't play very well last year, and that's why we didn't beat the Knicks. But they just don't shoot well in the playoffs, and it's insane how you can play well all season. And I get there's pressure. It's a playoffs. It's a different time of the year. Blah 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 blah. See, doesn't matter. But just shooting the ball like 10% less in the playoffs is just not unacceptable. So they just need to pick it up in the playoffs. I don't know what they have to change. They have the players. The Cavs have one of the best rosters in the NBA, I feel like, not being biased, but they have the Twin Towers, Jared Allen. He's been out last 5 games, so that doesn't help. Evan Mobley, those two are the best front court in the league. It's like one of the best, but I don't know. Darius Garland, he's good. He's an all-star. He's been an all-star. Max Strus, we picked up Max Strus. We picked him up for shooting. He can't even shoot the ball consistently right now. It's just frustrating. You have that much talent on the team, and they don't even produce when you need them to. And besides Donovan Mitchell, you picked him up for playoffs, and last year he didn't produce. Came into the season looking to do a lot better, and he has. He's averaging like 28, almost 30 a game. In the last 2 games in the first round, he averaged 48, I think. He popped off. He had like 89 points in those 2 games combined to go to 7 games and win that first round against the Magic. And it's sad because that team should not have been able to keep up with the Cavs like they did. But props to the Magic. They played well, shot well too. They actually were not a very good shooting team in the regular season, and then they come into the playoffs and shoot well at home, but then they go on the road. They started that game 7 really well. Actually, they're up 18 at one point, and then they ended up selling because they couldn't make a shot at the second half. So overall, out of that series, I'm taking away that the Magic are going to be good one day. I've heard rumors about them actually getting Klay Thompson. That's actually something to keep your eye open if you're a Warriors fan, because if Klay leaves, then I mean, I know he didn't have that great of a year, but it's like you feel like people are just going to start leaving at this point. Maybe not Steph, but Klay and Draymond might. You've heard rumors. I've seen a lot more rumors with Klay recently than anyone else, but I've heard the Magic have been in contact. So that team could be on the uprise here in the next year or 2 or 3. And then on the Cavs side of the takeaways, you need to get Donovan Mitchell some help. I mean, they're in the second round, but you got to get him some help. He can't score 50 a game and expect to win because no one else can score. It's like you just can't rely on that. But anyway, first series, Cavs and the Magic, 7 games, Cavs win, move on second round. Let's move on to what I thought the most boring series was out of the first round after everything concluded, the Heat and the Celtics. I thought going into it, not knowing that Jimmy Butler was out, because I don't really pay attention to the Heat, but finding out that Jimmy Butler was not going to be in that series really changed my complexion on what the series is going to be like. If they had Jimmy Butler, it's a completely different series. You have more offensive weapons. You change your game plan completely without Jimmy Butler in that game or in that series. So you really look for Adebayo to really just step up his offense. He's not really like that when it comes to scoring efficiently and often. But I mean, he didn't play bad. It's just you can't overtake that Celtics team with 1 or 2 guys. It's just like the Cavs in that first round, in that first game of the second round. But we'll save that for another time. But I mean, the Celtics they're playing well right now, so it's not like not really much to say. The Heat were not healthy. No Jimmy Butler. Celtics were healthy. So to me, that was the most boring series in the first round of the Eastern Conference. So I want to move on from that. We got the Pacers and the Bucks. Another series that I thought could have been way better if the Bucks were healthy. Honestly, I don't think the Pacers are that good. They got lucky in the second round in that first game against the Knicks. T.J. McConnell averaged 12 points a game this season, and then he went off and I can't remember how many he scored, but he scored a lot, like 30 points, I think, or 28 or something like that, something insane, and he wasn't missing. So it's like you got to think that's a fluke and only a one-time thing. But I could be wrong. You never know. But Pacers, really, they didn't have. I mean, they have Halliburton, Siakam, and Miles Turner. That's about it. Siakam's a solid player. He was on that Raptors team when they won in 2019 with Kawhi, so he has the experience in the playoffs. Miles Turner, I think he's been on Indiana his whole career, so I mean he doesn't really have any playoff experience really either. So this is kind of his first, maybe not his first, but he doesn't really have much experience. But and then you got Halliburton, who's a rising star. So he didn't even really play well in that series. He had like I think he's averaging like 12 a game in the playoffs so far. So it's nothing crazy, but I mean they did enough against a unhealthy Bucks team. No Giannis really killed him there. I mean, you don't have Giannis. That's your main player. You're not going to really have a chance in this league. You have to be healthy, especially in the playoffs. You have to be on your full A game to win games, especially 4 out of 7 in this league. Trying to think of another series here. We got the Knicks. Obviously, they played the Sixers. That was that was a fun series for me to watch. Personally, probably not going to be a very popular opinion. I'm not a big fan of the Knicks, especially last year after they beat the Cavs, and that city went nuts, and they're going nuts this year after winning that first round matchup. I mean, they're just toxic. I won't say toxic, but they're kind of an annoying fan base. They're kind of like a trying to think football fan bases here, like a Cowboys franchise. They're always, oh, this is our year. This is going to be a great year, and it's always they start well and then they choke. That's how it is. But I don't know. But in the first round, I think I was rooting for more of the Knicks and the Sixers just because I'm not a big Embiid guy. I don't know. To me, he's not really fun to watch. I mean, he's good. I'm going to give him props. He's good, but he's just not very fun and explosive like players that we got today. Like you got Anthony Edwards, and he is the definition of an explosive player. So, I mean, I like watching explosive players. He's got a good game and what Embiid does, but he's not a very fun player to watch. So that series was good, though. I didn't expect it to go the way it did. I thought the Sixers are going to be more competitive, but really the Knicks are proving to themselves and the league that they are a good team and that they can compete with any team in the league, especially with a team like the Sixers who have had success. And you can shut down Embiid and you can win games and you can show it. And the Knicks are doing that right now, especially after that second round first game against the Pacers. I mean, they were down, no momentum, and then all of a sudden the 3 Villanova guys turn up. It's really special to see what's going on in New York with those 3. One of the young teams. I mean, they have a young core with those Villanova guys, Josh Hart, DiVincenzo, and Brunson. How am I going to forget Brunson? He's like the best player on the team right now. He's going off. He's playing some of his best basketball, and he needs to right now in these playoffs because you need to. But I don't know. The Knicks, I feel like they can make some noise. They're probably going to make the conference finals if they can just handle business against the Pacers. But yeah, that's my pick for that next series when they're against the Pacers. I mean, to me, they have all of the advantages. They had one bad game and they ended up winning. So TJ McConnell had a big game and they still lost. So, I mean, that series to me isn't even going to be close. I feel like they may even sweep the Pacers just because they have advantages all over the floor. It's hands down the biggest advantage I mean, the Eastern Conference is really only 2 teams right now, the Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks. And if those 2 fall, then the other is going to make it. So, I mean, if those 2 meet, it's going to be a battle in that conference finals if they both make it. But that's my pick. If I were to pick, I guess I'd say I don't want to pick against the Cavs, but I just don't see it. They don't have the momentum right now, and they're playing a juggernaut in the Celtics. So I'm going to take the Celtics and Knicks right now for that conference finals. And if I had to pick out of those 2, honestly, I feel like that series could go to 7 games. I really, really think that game or that series could go to 7 games just because each team has weapons on and off the bench. I mean, Celtics probably have the more depth, but in terms of talent, the Knicks have it. The Knicks have what you need. They have good, solid guard play. They have good post play. It's just whether you can keep it up for a full series, especially against a Boston team like that. Got to be able to score points. Um, I'm definitely taking the Celtics. If no matter who they meet, they're going to make the finals this year. The biggest test they're going to have, though, is if they make the finals and what team they're going to play in the finals, because the Western Conference, I'm telling you, is good. They have two young teams. I guess one really young team in the Thunder who have like an average age of 22 or 23 years old, which is nuts, and they're playing out of their mind even without the playoff experience. It's crazy, but that's a. Let's see, who did they play first round? They played Thunder. I'm blanking. I can't think of anything besides the Timberwolves right now. Because I mean, they're the story of the league right now. I mean, going into the season, I did not think that they are going to be in the position that they are in, that they're in right now. It's like I don't think anyone did. You have Anthony Edwards. He played good last year. Just the team was not. I don't know. They just didn't mesh very well last year, or this year they finally clicked something, and now they're just on tear. They got Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, Cat, Jaden McDaniels. It's like they have the length to win it all. Honestly, I've been watching a lot of other analysis talk about the Timberwolves, and a lot of them think that they can win it. And I don't doubt it. I don't doubt that the Timberwolves can go in and win the championship. And it's nuts to think that, because last year I would have never called it. It's really one of those teams that like you turn it on and they're just that good. You got Anthony Edwards, who I've heard all these things. I saw something today about people think that he's Michael Jordan's long lost son, that he just uh, like wiped his name for the better of him for Anthony Edwards, because they're saying like, look at Bronny and blah blah blah. And if you, yeah, I don't know if that's true or not, but that is something I'll have to talk about with someone when I actually get a guest on here. Actually, I wanted to say something about that. I was supposed to have a guest on tonight, but he didn't want to come, or I guess he wanted to, but he went home and he just couldn't. So, um, uh, whatever. He'll probably be on a lot of the episodes, but tonight he couldn't. But you'll see him when you see him. He'll probably be on next episode. But anyway, back to Timberwolves. The Timberwolves. I had something on here. What did I have on here? Oh yeah, I just had that Anthony Edwards being MJ's son. Is that even like? I mean, people say that he looks like him, plays like him. Like the fadeaway shot, I guess, looks a lot like MJ's shot when, like his fadeaway mid-range shot. I've watched it side by side, and I guess you could see similarities, but I don't think it's like exactly like it. Obviously, it's not going to be exactly like it, but I see the similarities. I don't think he looks like MJ, not at all. He wears the armband, so I mean, you could say that maybe he knows, but he just wants to like tease it in a way. I don't know. I don't think there's any correlation with it. I don't think he's any relation to Michael Jordan. It'd be pretty pretty fun if he was, and how crazy of a full circle moment that would be for everyone in the league, or every fan, because that's just insane to think about. But let the rumors go. I guess if you want to think it. I don't think it is, but it doesn't change the fact that he is dominating the league right now. And you can't. The first round series against the Suns, no one thought that. I went into that series not knowing who to pick because of the Timberwolves playing well all season, and they had a pretty solid team, and Anthony Edwards has been playing well for a long time. And see, I never thought they were going to sweep the Suns, but a lot of people actually thought that the Suns were going to upset the Timberwolves because of just how inconsistent they are, or how consistent they have been in the previous years, and just no playoff experience again. So that's just that young talent surprising this league right now, and how they're just showing that this league is in good hands even after now there's no LeBron, KD, or Steph. And it's crazy to think, because I mean, when I started watching the league, those three were the face of the NBA, and now they still are, but they're just not as successful because you got all these young players, this young talent coming in and just dominating. It's nuts to think how the Thunder have all of these draft picks, and they still have a really good roster right now, and they're all really, really young. And you can just think of that team's going to be scary in years to come because they have so many draft picks coming up in the future years. It's just crazy to think how that organization has just flipped it around since, the Big Three era with KD, Russ, and Harden. And then they moved away from that, and then it was just Russ. And then now they had PG and Russ on the same team, and then CP3 was on the OKC at one point. It's just crazy how they have bounced around. And then now you look at where they are, and they have all this young talent and still a bunch of draft picks. So that's what you get for good management and good GMs and doing their job the way they should be, because that team is stacked for years to come. Let's see here. Then you got the Nuggets. The Nuggets, to me, they looked good all year. The concern with me was if they were going to be able to play as good as they did last playoffs, because I remember watching them last year, and to me, right now, if I had to compare a team this year to that team last year, it would be the Timberwolves. Honestly, they're playing out of their mind. Actually, for the success, I would think the Timberwolves, but like shooting and like skill wise, I think the Celtics. Watching that first game of the second round for the Celtics, they don't miss. And last year, I remember watching the Nuggets, and they just never miss. You have Michael Porter firing up shots, and they just go in. Jokic throwing up prayers before the shot clock expires, and they go in. It's like there's nothing you can do about that, and it's frustrating as a defense to have to guard that because you just don't know what to do, especially when they're just throwing up shots like that. Trying to see. I had something else pulled up in here that I wanted to look at. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. So the Nuggets played the Lakers in that first round. And me being a LeBron fan, I really wanted the Lakers to really make another run. And I feel like if they would have beat the Nuggets in that first round matchup, that they would have had a really good shot. But now that I watch the second round unfold and how good OKC is playing and how good the Timberwolves are playing, I don't think the Lakers would have made it out of the second round. So they probably would have gotten swept in that second round if they had to play the Timberwolves. So I mean, Lakers honestly played really well that first round. They just couldn't put it together for a full 48 minutes. They had a lead by like 12 or 15 each game, and they ended up only winning one of those games, and two of those losses were because of Jamal Murray. And Jamal Murray is like that. He has the mid-range game, and I've seen the clips. He's done it to the Lakers over and over and over again. The same shot, different spots, but it's the same idea of shot, like one leg, mid-range jump shot, step back on the baseline. It's one of those momentum. What's the word I'm looking for here? It's a feel shot. It's something that he has in his bag, and he's done it over and over again to the point where it's just muscle memory, and it's just going to be cash every single time. He did it twice for a game winner, the one on the baseline, and then one at the free throw line. It was like a step back, one-legged shot, and it was just nothing you could do about it. I mean, the first one you had Anthony Davis on him, and he was, how tall Anthony Davis is. He's tall. Shot it over Anthony Davis on the baseline for the win. The second one, I think Austin Reeves was guarding him, so I mean, it's a little bit of a height change, but it's just not much you can do when he's creating that much separation. And the Nuggets, my opinion, they're going to get swept. They might win a single game, but I think that they're going to get swept, especially because the Timberwolves kind of manhandled them in that first game, and or the first two games, sorry. So they're going back to Minnesota, and today's Wednesday, so they're going to play tomorrow. So, I mean, unless the Nuggets can get a prayer answered and hope that the Timberwolves just don't play as well as they did in Denver, which I don't see happening. They played, honestly, some of the best defense I've ever seen, ever. Honestly, I haven't been watching the league for, that long, like 10 years, but they played probably some of the best defense I've ever seen played in an NBA game. I mean, usually regular season, there's not a lot of defense until the playoffs come around and teams really try to turn it on. But that defense was something else. It was the length of that team it's so hard to guard, or not hard to guard. It's so hard to score on a team that is long, lengthy, and just tall and have the height advantage and length advantage on every single aspect of the floor. So it's like you put uh, Jamal Murray in a trap when those. I'm pretty sure I can't remember who it was. Jaden McDaniels and someone else. They were trapping Murray at the top of the key or like in the corner, and he couldn't do anything. I mean, there's nothing you could do when you're getting trapped by two of the longest dudes on the floor, and you're trying to pass the ball, and he was looking for a foul, and I mean, the Nuggets just got manhandled that game. They were out bullied. They were bully balled that whole game, and they were complaining the whole time. And you could see the frustration in the first half. I mean, when honestly, Karl Anthony Towns should have gotten a charge on that one call when he blew over or he blowed through Jamal Murray trying to take a charge, and it looked like a charge real time, but they didn't call it. And then call timeout, and then Karl Malone, the Nuggets head coach, went racing onto the floor and starts chewing out the ref. And I thought he was immediately going to get thrown out of the game, and he didn't. And I was thinking to myself, you put any other NBA coach in his shoes and that in front of that ref, there is no way that they don't get thrown out. And I was just thinking, like, is there something going on there, and why isn't he getting thrown out of the game? Because he was full on cussing that ref out, and he was in his face, and the ref actually like squared up. I thought he was gonna actually like bump into him or something, or I don't know. It was nuts. I haven't seen anything like that before with at least a technical foul. Like, you don't got to throw him out, but like at least give him a tech, calm him down a little bit. But he didn't do anything, and to me, it's an eye opener, honestly, because like obviously they're the defending champs, and I mean, I feel like if that was Scott Foster, he's definitely throwing out Carmelo. Like, there's no way that he doesn't get thrown out by Scott Foster. But another thing in that series is Rudy Gobert. People were overreacting because they thought that it was not cool on his part for missing game 2 because of or was it game 1 or game 2? I want to say it was game 2. Yeah, game 2, because his birth of his first child. Like, I mean, you have to give the guy some lean there because it's his first child. Yes, it's the playoffs, but he's got to be a big family man if he's missing NBA playoffs, or he must just be confident in his team. I mean, I don't think it's fair to get mad at a guy because he oh my God. I don't think it's fair to get mad at a man because he wants to go and watch or be there for the birth of his first child. It's like, that's just petty at that point. I mean, they won without him, so it's like you just can't get mad at someone because of that. And I don't understand why people get mad at someone because of that. You got to just show some. Imagine if you were in his shoes, you just got to think like that. And if I was in his shoes, I'd probably do the same thing. Honestly, I'm a big family guy, so I don't think I would miss anything for that kind of moment. I mean, obviously, I don't know what that moment's like, but I don't think I would want to miss that moment for anything. I mean, there's probably nothing you could really do to have a guy miss that moment. I mean, obviously, if it's like depends on the guy, obviously. I mean, if they're big family guys, but I don't think people really need to get that upset about it. So I thought I should have brought that up. Let's see here. Trying to think of other series. Oh, the Mavericks, Kyrie and Luka, they've been playing really good basketball. They played the Clippers that first round. Honestly, the Clippers really didn't have me really crazy off the wall about them. I mean, they have 3 old veterans, and James Harden is known for being on teams with a big 3 and not doing anything with it. You look at Brooklyn. They had Kyrie, Kevin Durant, and James Harden, and they couldn't do anything. I mean, they lost in the second round to the Bucks. I mean, that year they won the title, but it's like you have 3 of the best offensive players in NBA history, and you can't win a series against Giannis and Chris Middleton. And I guess they probably had Drew Holiday at the time. But anyway, he's known for being on big 3s that don't do anything. Like, you look at Houston, I guess he had CP3. And then I guess in Oklahoma City, he had KD and Russ. So, I mean, he's been on good teams with nothing to show for. So I didn't think that they were really going to make any noise in the playoffs. Kawhi Leonard, obviously, he proved himself in 2019 when he won that title with Toronto. I mean, obviously, they got lucky with Clay and KD going out, but I mean, you got to give respect when it's due. He won a title, and that's nothing easy to do, especially when you're on the team for a year and then you leave after you win the title. That was crazy for me to really soak in, but I mean, business is business, I guess. He just wanted some more money. And then in Paul George, I have a lot of respect for Paul George. Obviously, he hasn't done much in the playoffs, but I've always liked watching him. I like his style of play, but I was really hoping that I'm hoping that he can get at least close to getting a ring because, like I said, I respect players like him, like Kawhi. They haven't really had to join like really good teams to win. I mean, obviously, Paul George's been on a couple good teams with Russ, and then I guess now in LA, but like other than that, he hasn't really been on any super teams like Kevin Durant has, or like other super teams that have been brought together to try to win, and that hadn't done anything. But back to the series against the Mavericks, I mean, you got a hot Kyrie and Luka Mavericks team. Kyrie's been playing out of his mind recently, and he's starting to look like old Kyrie back in Cleveland, hitting crazy layups, fadeaway shots, making threes. It's everything that you need to complement Luka Doncic. I mean, Luka is going to draw a lot of attention, and as soon as you draw more attention to him, someone's got to be open. You got to start double teaming Luka at some point, and that's what Kyrie's there for. He opens up the floor more. He can drive, he can shoot, handle the ball, pass. He does it all. So he's a really good complementary player to Luka Doncic, who kind of does the same thing. So you get it's like a two-headed dragon, so to say. I mean, they're both really, really, really good offensive players. So you really have to game plan when you play a team like that, when you have players like that on the other side. And the Clippers weren't able to do that on a consistent basis to win that series, and it ended up costing them not winning that series. That's a series I didn't really watch a lot of just because I thought the Mavericks would win that series pretty handily, and they did 4-2. But now they're playing the Thunder, and I don't know if that series is going to be very, very good. I mean, they lost the game one by it was 117-95, so it's like that's not even a close game. I mean, I watched the first half of it. Let's look at this box score. Doncic and Kyrie combined for 39 points. When you have two stars like that, obviously you look at the Thunder. They have the length. They have Chet, SGA. He's really, really good. Probably going to win MVP. I've heard a lot of people say he's going to win MVP. Lou Dort, good defensive player. Jameson Williams, a lot of young players, and they have good length, good offense, and that's going to beat those three players that I just listed, or I guess three of the four that I listed. SGA, Jalen Williams, and Chet Holmgren. Chet had 19, Jalen Williams had 18, and then SGA had 29. So like that's the production that you need from your players to really win playoff games and in hostile environment as they were in OKC. But do I think that it's going to be a sweep? No, but I think the Mavericks need to put up at least 110, 105, or like just over 100 points to be able to win these games. You can't hold the Thunder over 100 points. It's just not going to happen. They're like the Celtics. They have so many weapons on the offensive end to really, like, there's just nothing you could do. Jalen Williams, I feel like I said something else, not Jalen Williams. I think they have two Jalen Williams. Yeah, they have two Jalen Williams is on the OKC. So I remember that. I'm pretty sure I said something else in Jalen Williams. But I mean, SGA has really opened my eye this year. He's one of those young players, like I said, that's really taken the league by storm, along with Anthony Edwards. I feel like Anthony Edwards is going to have a really, really, really successful career as long as he can keep the pieces around him that he needs to really win. I mean, he has probably one of the best backcourts up there with Cat and Rudy Gobert. Even without Gobert even playing, they still played well. Karl Anthony Towns is playing out of his mind. He can really shoot the three ball. He's been shooting it really well this year. So yeah, this NBA playoffs has been really nuts. But as far as my picks for the second round of the West, let's see. So I had Celtics and Knicks, and then I had the Celtics in the finals. But if the Cavs beat the Celtics, which I don't think, but if they win that second round matchup, I think that they could they could beat the Knicks. But I'm gonna go Celtics, Knicks, and then Celtics to make the finals. For the West, though, I think the Timberwolves are gonna beat the Nuggets in 4 or 5 games. Like the Nuggets aren't gonna win more than one game. So I think Timberwolves, and then part of me wants to think that this series with the Thunder and Thunder and the Mavericks are going to be good. I feel like it's just too good to be true. I mean, Kyrie's old. I mean, he's still playing really good. Luka is beat up. He was injured in that game, that game 1. So it's like you got to think, how well is he going to be able to perform? So I'm probably going to have to go with the Thunder and the Timberwolves, 2 young teams in the NBA, taking the league by storm. I mean, it's been a year of young talent in this league, and I mean, there's only going to be more young teams. I mean, you look at San Antonio; they have Victor Wembanyama, and he just won the defensive rookie, or not defensive player of the year. That was Rudy. He thought he was going to win defensive player of the year, but he won rookie of the year. He's going to be good. As you get him a good team, he's going to be. I feel like they could be similar to the Thunder if they have. They can get the length and the youth, and maybe a veteran or two just for some experience. That team could be dangerous. I mean, Victor's really, really good. He, like I said, he reminds me a lot of like a Chet with maybe a better handle. So it's crazy to think that there's players like that nowadays. You look at the centers that we have in this league nowadays compared to back then. You have like Shaq and Dwight Howard, all these big, buff, muscular dudes that just want to pound you in the paint and just slam it on your face. It's like you look at Chet and you look at Victor, and it's the league has changed. It's a perimeter-based league, and if you can shoot, you're going to play. If you can shoot the three, and if you can defend a three, you're going to be an NBA player. You can play in the NBA. So it's like, I mean, you have the talent, be able to guard the three, shoot the three, and that's how the league is right now. And honestly, I don't mind it. I like how fast-paced the league is now. People are saying, "Oh, the league's bad. It's soft." It is what it is. You have to watch it and put up with it. We're all watching it. We can't change it. We're not the commissioner. We don't have a voice. No one gives a shit. So, but that's going to be a wraps for this first episode. I'm going to be trying to get out episodes maybe once, maybe even twice a week. Next episode will probably have a guest on. So, it'll be a little different with the formatting and how that goes on, but this is basically how it's going to go. I'm just going to talk about what's going on in the leagues, like week by week, previews, and talk about games that happens. But keep tuning in. The NFL season is going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to the fall and being able to do that. But other than that, I got nothing. Thanks for tuning in. Go hit the sub button again, and appreciate it. Peace.